Make something first, make it perfect later. I don't know how to do much with editing, so at most there'll be a few jump cuts between me not talking, me trying to formulate my next thought into word. Maybe I just don't have anything worth saying, or maybe what I was saying wasn't worth the effort, irregardless. This is my first ever foray on YouTube. I have been thinking about what I was going to make for a while now. Not too long, not as long as other people. I've heard stories of 2, 5, 10 years. I want to create. Videos aren't at the forefront of my imagination. I never sat down at my desk and was like, I want to make a video. I want to imagine myself in a story, in a role. I want to make video games. This is my senior year of high school, and it feels like things have just been smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller as I went from, you know, top of the food chain in high school to, well, not top of the food chain. I'd say have a decent circle of friends. I don't want to sit here and be all mopey, all, oh, I could have done more, I could have been cooler. I'd say I enjoyed my time in high school a lot, honestly. Not too many things I would have done differently. Definitely would have been gotten better grades. I did not focus on grades as much as I should have. But, it feels like this kind of leap from such a small world into a big one, going to college, of maybe 150 graduating class to, what, 10,000 kids on campus? Whew. I'm going into game design, of course. That was the connection between my first thought and this. Video games have always been a big chunk of whatever I've been doing at the time. It's always get home, get my gear off, and start playing video games. And games in general. Magic the Gathering is one of my favorites. I've gotten into it a little more recently than I wish I could have, but building a deck, putting together some game plan, it's been a lot of fun. I first really started gaming, and I'm not considering, the deluge of Minecraft and Roblox and I mean, even armor games, flash games, I wouldn't consider those to be my first. I think they're just too flat. I enjoy Minecraft, of course. It's a fun game to return to, nostalgia's sake, and playing with friends, but I was never indebted to it. I must say, some people are. I've never felt as though it was an interesting sink of time. Portal 2 was the first. I remember going through the hoops of the little tutorial, thinking, "Oh, well, what are they gonna throw at me next?" And then the room being catapulted through just this twist of wires and pipes, scale that I hadn't ever seen before, not in movies or shows even. It was just awe-inspiring to me. The feeling of being in the story, of being piloted around, of Wheatley having my life in the palm of his hands. I'd gotten to the point where at maybe 8, I think, no, closer to 9, I was able to beat the entire game in about 3 hours, which I wasn't trying to speed run. I was just, playing the game for the story, but I felt kind of proud of that as a 9-year-old kid. I know it pales in comparison to the maybe 3 minutes speedrunners take on it now, but the Wheatley lines. This is the part where you die. And I still haven't 100% of that game in any capacity. I don't intend to. Narrative driven interactive media. I've spent the most of my time playing video games in Project Zomboid and the finals. Project Zomboid is a game I love. Uh, One of my favorites of all time. The feeling of playing with sprinters on, running from the hordes, barely surviving, fortifying a house, maybe getting a sledgehammer, taking out the stairs. I, I fear it's unmatched. Even in Minecraft, that first night feeling, it just pales in comparison to formulating this space, this area where you are safe, where you are alone, isolated entirely, but safe. The finals is more so uh, towards my skill expression. I'd venture to say I wouldn't say I'm the best at FPS. I could reach a point where my KD was at minimum 2, but I was never playing competitive. I was never playing ranked, whatever. I remember season 3. I loved the bow. It felt so fun to use compared to the other guns. I hit a grappling hook, launched over a guy, flicked behind myself, and hit him with a headshot, one shot. And immediately, my first thought was, I should have recorded that. And the moment was gone because I had wished that it was immortal. It was a moment that was in it of itself fleeting, and it should have been. I I don't like the idea of recording everything for use later. I think memories are meant to be kept as memories, not as some bauble on a desk. There are times when it's appropriate, of course, but it's not for me. Deltarune is maybe my second favorite narrative. Deltarune is maybe my second favorite narrative game. Is just the feeling of progressing through a story in which I felt I was a part of it again, instead of just playing a game to experience the story. It was incredible, honestly. Undertale is I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Played not pacifist or genocide, of course. I just did a regular route. I think I killed 2 or 3 monsters. I got made it to Asgore and I left it there. I started his fight, but it didn't hook me. I've started some ideas for games already. I think I really, really want to start, of course, the roguelike. The roguelike is just kind of the starting tavern of indie development. Some start with maybe movement shooters, some start with something even more basic, but roguelikes are just fun. They're iterative. They're they're incredibly easy to put some content here, some content there, and it becomes this kind of immersion mess of gameplay that the player can just freely partake in. I don't want to do that. I want... Fuck. I want to make something that's just truly grand. I want it to be this feeling of solidarity and just complete smallness when faced with the set pieces of the game. Truly, as I do feel now, in this mess of wires and whatever these are meant to be. Catabasis is a book I've read maybe half a year ago now. It is, of course, my favorite type of story, a descent into madness, a losing of control. But thinking about it, it's the opposite. It's a healing of madness, of characters going through hell, literally, and sort of reconciling mistakes and aiding each other in their own journeys. It's centered around a college girl in a world in which magic is real, but rather than some arcane power, some innate mystique to the world, it is just another facet of life, which I think is what would most naturally happen in a world where something like this is real. It's occultist of a kind. There's rituals, there's less so waving your wand for the appropriate results and research, thought, and intention behind what needs to happen. She kills her professor through some odd accident, and her and another classmate venture into hell to try and bring him back because he needs to, sign off on paperwork, something of the sort, something benign, so that they may continue their college career. I've had the idea for this roguelike. I've called it Puppet. I've called it now Catabasis, of course. I've called it Descent. I've called it a great many things for, I'd say, 6 years now. No, 5. And it's not tormented me. It's not been an ever it's never been an all-encompassing thought. It's never been like Toby Fox's strike of inspiration, of just complete need to create. But over time, it's evolved. I've wanted it to go from this sort of story-focused roguelike into this complete archaic journey through the 7 circles of hell, as written in the 7 circles of hell. The 7 circles of hell, as referred to in Dante's Inferno, is sort of cruel punishment for sinners. This thematic portrayal of sin, of lust, of greed, of gluttony, of pride, of sloth. And 2 more sins. I've enjoyed my time with the idea. I've written it down and then some. I've thought of mechanics, I've thought of characters, I've thought of story beats and arcs and secret stories and secret endings and connections to be made to bring it to life. And I need to start making. I need to jump headfirst into Unity or perhaps Godot to start just creating what needs to be created. And it does, in a way, need to be created. I wouldn't say I chase it as fervently as others, as one does when they stake their claim on a single piece of media. I want there to be so many. I have journals here and there scattered through the house of things I want to make, of things I want to do. And I'd say I have a decent grasp upon, the media I consume, the stories that I enjoy, to begin to start understanding what needs to be put in place for a truly beautiful world. I think I can make it. I think I can push through everything. My lack of I can push through everything. My lack of motivation. I can push through everything. My lack of motivation. My skills. The things I need to develop. The things I have developed. The people I need to push aside. And I need to start making. Get my hands dirty. I've always felt nostalgic for early 2000s internet, yet I have never truly been a part of it. I maybe watched YouTube, went through Flash games. I experienced it to an extent, but never to the extent of other people who forums, who interacted, who had a network of people who could see someone online and recognize them, who saw a username and put it to a face they've created in themselves, in their entire experience online. I've never had something like that. I have some online friends. I play video games, but you know, once those games don't have their grasp on me, those friendships just kind of smolder. They're there. Every now and then I send a DM. I let them know that I'm still around, and they let me know that they're still around, but not much else. I don't know how I'll end this video. I don't know if I should. There's a lot of things I want to say, but I don't want to treat this like some personal audio journal. I have those. I keep my thoughts organized. Not organized, but kept. I keep them. And yet, so many times I feel as though I'm losing so many. Ideas that I should remember. I've placed importance in them, and yet they're just gone. I should have done a better job at keeping track. My next step is finding a face. I enjoy this style of video, as low effort as it is. Just exploring a world, thinking thoughts out loud, not caring who receives them, nor who cares, even. But I think this is a good jumping off point. Being an internet personality, while daunting, yes. Daunting in that it needs management, it needs to be constantly upheld, it needs to be protected. Your behavior needs to be top notch. At least the way I want to hold myself, the way I want to be seen. People have their own images of everyone around them. Every day I wake up and I shave, and I can't seem to get the hairs on my chin, my lower neck, not my lower neck, my upper neck. They seem to evade my razor every time I pass over them until my skin becomes red and abraded and lumpy. I think they call it razor burn, an apt name. And I asked them, does it look like my facial hair is all fucked up? Do I look like a little bum? They say, no, I haven't noticed any facial hair. I didn't notice anything of the sort. I talk to the people around me, and I can't stand knowing that however I hold myself, however I think of myself, they have some entirely different image of me in their mind. I wish I could read thoughts. So many miscommunications, so many relationships that could be completely slanted. But no. If I had some ulterior powder, if I had some ulterior power to use, I wouldn't be me. If some change were to happen overnight, then the me that is then and the me that is now are two different people. And so I find no point in wishing for things that won't come to pass. I need to make a face. I want to start making some content with friends, you know, playing around, making multiplayer stuff, having some bits, some gags, some things so much less sincere than what I'm doing now. And to do that, I need a face. Not my own, of course. No. An LCD mask. Curved, slightly circular, maybe 10 inches across, maybe more. I could program it with different expressions. I could have little jokes built in about it. An outfit to fit. I think the more I think about it, the more I think it's possible. And yet, the second I start doing, the second becomes less possible. It's like action immediately meets resistance, and I haven't trained enough to push past that resistance. That resistance irritates me. I wish things were so easy for me off the rip, and yet, if they were, then everything I did would have no meaning. I don't know how I'll come to edit this. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just post it as is. 30 minutes long, uncut, all my stutters, all my retakes. Maybe I will cut out the shitty parts, the parts I don't want people to see. Maybe this part right now. Maybe I won't. If you're watching this, it's 2026, it's 2030, it's 2035, it's 2040, it's 2045. I hope you enjoy. This isn't really made to entertain as much as it is made to vent. But you know, background ambiance, prattling on about things that don't really affect you. It might be alright. First and foremost, I want to make things that people want to not argue with, but discuss with. I like engaging critically, as much as many people seem not to enjoy that. I wouldn't say I consider myself truly smart for it. I think it's a useful skill to pick up. And I find so many people lacking it. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 games. 3 of them. 8 games. 3 of them live service. 5 of them not narrative focused necessarily, but mostly single player. And then, if all things come to pass the way I want them to, you know, a series, an anime. I love anime. I grew up with it. I think I started, of course, on the Ghibli movies, but Naruto, I didn't honestly enjoy it all that much. It was what was available on Netflix at the time. All-time favorite, Code Lelouch, Code Geass, Lelouch of the Revolution. I just enjoy the, not politicking, but maneuvering of the characters, of the plot. Ouran High School Host Club as just a fun, happy-go-lucky adventure anime, and of course Hunter x Hunter is just maybe the closest I've felt to watching original Pokemon Johto League or watching just some adventure-focused anime. Just this feeling of going on some crazy journey, of fighting people I have no business fighting, of finding things that truly amaze. I think I've reached the point in which I can log off. I fucking hate that noise. My room grows uncomfortably hot as the temperature from my fans exhaust out and flood this space. I grow tired with these interesting, yes, but simple machinations. What it wants to be? Something grand, something mysterious. What it is a collection of textures, sounds, and models that I'd say don't really mesh. I think whoever made this did a fantastic job in doing what Gmod was made for. This is a beautiful map, and I hate it. I hate it so much. Good night. And if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good luck.